What's up, guys? Welcome back to California Recovery. It's Wade Stevens. Topic of the video today is resentments, man. So if you're an addict or alcoholic, you're probably here in the fellowship, of AA or Cocaine Anonymous, CA or NA, but mostly in the fellowships that use the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. They're going to talk about the idea of resentments being the number one offender, and we want to talk about why. So the thing that's dangerous about if you're an addict or an alcoholic, and if you pick up a resentment, right? And with people like us, we can pick up resentments pretty quickly. So really the deal is resentments, the reason why they're so dangerous that the book talks about, is resentments block me out from the sunlight of the Spirit. So if you're anything like me and your only hope to survive alcoholism and drug addiction is the growth and maintenance of a spiritual experience that the book talks about, resentments block me out from the sunlight of the Spirit. Now, what that means is that resentments, every resentment that I pick up, and think about your life, like what you've been through, the trauma, the fights, the arguments, how you grew up. I mean, think about how many relationships, think about how many resentments you've picked up, throughout life. And so really like what it comes down to is resentments, every one that I pick up. And a lot of us think that we can quantify resentments. Like, this is a small resentment, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't need to take it to God. I don't need to write a 4-step on it. I don't need to write a resentment inventory on it. And what's dangerous about that, especially if you have some time, and is the fact that there's no such thing as a big resentment or a small resentment. They all block me off equally from the sunlight of the Spirit. So really why that's interesting is because we talked about in our step 1 video that we're beyond human aid. We have an obsession of the mind, the craving of the body that activates once we start. We have the mental obsession that hits us before we even drink or use that, creates this inability to maintain any considerable length of sobriety because mental obsession always returns to drink or use again and we can't fight it. And then we have this thing called the spiritual malady that really kicks off everything. Kicks off the obsession to drink and use because my spirit is so unfit and I'm so uncomfortable, and so really it kicks off the mental obsession to drink or use to treat it. So really like, if you're anything like me, it's like the resentment is dangerous because once again, it blocks me out from the very power that I need to live. If you look at the term sunlight of the Spirit, man, it's God. And if I'm blocked from the very power that I need or to live by a single resentment, multiple resentments, that mental obsession is going to return. And that's what it talks about in the book, looking at step 4. It talks about the idea that the insanity of the first drink returns, or drug, meaning the mental obsession, and I use again or I drink again. And it talks about the idea for us to drink or use is to die. So really that's why resentments are so fatal for us. It talks about the idea that resentments are futile and fatal. They're futile because I don't have any control or power over them. I can't get free of the resentment on my own. And they're fatal because it blocks me out from the sunlight of the Spirit or God, which my very life depends on because I'm beyond human aid. As an addict or alcoholic, I have this illness that places me beyond human aid. So resentments block me out from the very power that I need to live, right? Because my life depends on conscious contact with my Creator, as the book also talks about. And that mental obsession comes back to, again, treat my unfit spirit. If I'm picking up resentments, my spirit's going to be unfit, right? From resentment stems all forms of spiritual disease. So I can't afford to live in resentment, even with time. My sobriety date is May 2nd, 2012. So working on 9.5 years. Even today, resentments will be fatal for me. I can't afford to live in them. Not because they're uncomfortable to live in today, because I've experienced spiritual freedom, but the idea that it's like the obsession can hit me back today if I live with an unfit spirit dealing with all these resentments. They need to be inventory. They need to be fist-stepped. I need to get a different perspective on them, which is the purpose of step 4 and 5. Right? I got to be able to look at it from an entirely different angle, point of view. So I just want to do a shorter video today and talk about why resentments are so fatal. Why they're the number one offender for the alcoholic or the addict. And it's simply because it blocks me out from God. It blocks me out from the very power that I need to live. So if you're sitting there, wherever you're at, and you got these resentments going on and they're not inventoried, you're not sitting down with it, just know that it's dangerous for you. We don't know the day that's going to come when the mental obsession is going to hit us to drink and use again as a result of those resentments that we've picked up, right? The more resentments that I'm picking up that I'm not getting free from, the further I'm going to be blocked from God. And if I lose my connection to my higher power through picking up these resentments and not getting free of them promptly, you can guarantee first step tells me that the obsession is going to come back. But also it tells me in the fourth step that the insanity or the obsession, the mental obsession of the first drink is going to return. And for us to drink is to die. So that's why resentments are fatal. So again, just to recap, resentments are futile because I don't have any control over them. I don't have any power over them. Like if you've ever been resentful, right? And you've tried to like think about it differently on your own, but you never got free of the resentment, like say your partner cheated or, you were beat as a kid or, even a small thing. Somebody cuts you off on the freeway. I'm out here in California, of course. So, traffic's crazy. People drive crazy. And so really like somebody cuts you off on the freeway, and that's could be an instant resentment if I'm unfit. So any one of those right there. And have you ever been in that place where you try to think about it logically? Well, maybe they had somewhere to go, or maybe they had an emergency, or maybe had this, but the power wasn't there to get free of the resentment. When you're trying to use your own mind to fix your own mind or your own spirit, and you find that it doesn't work, right? You get more irritated, more angry, or your spouse pisses you off, and you try to just think like the spiritual man or woman, but you can't really pull that off. You get more pissed off. You get more delusional. And before you know it, you're worked into a frenzy, And so really, like, that's why they're futile. I don't have any power over the resentments. That's why I have to inventory them and put them on paper. I got to take it through a 4-step, talk to my sponsor. And they're fatal because they block me out from God. They block me out from the very power that I need to have with God, because my life is beyond human aid, and your life is beyond human aid if you're a real addict or a real alcoholic. And trust me, a lot of us, poo-poo the idea or think it's not a deadly illness. And then once you start losing people, you start losing sponsees, you start losing your friends to suicide and just different things. You really get to see, your people that you sponsor, they're losing their partners through overdoses, and they're passing away, and dealt with that situation recently. When that happens, you really get to see, not only in your own experience, how fatal this illness is, and it becomes real once again to you. So I'm just trying to offer this, offer my experience to this channel. Hopefully you guys get something from it. Hopefully I can help you in any way possible. And that was the topic of the day, just resentments and why they're so dangerous for us addicts and alcoholics to carry. So I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, share it. Get it out there to anybody that you know that's, battling with drug addiction, alcoholism, and we'll tap in soon.